Hi there. You can call me Ben. That's not my real name, but it's what I'll go by for now. I feel it's finally time to share my story. You can choose to believe it or not, but I hope you'll take away some lessons from it. This story has more truth in it than you might think. I've been out of high school for 3 years now, but this event took place back when I was still a student. So, let's rewind a bit. For the first 2.5 years of high school, I attended a school in the southern United States, close to the Gulf of Mexico. We grew up with all sorts of ghost stories, and our conservative parents always warned us not to mess with things we didn't understand. I was really unpopular at that school. My first 2 years were tough because I was a big dork, and everyone made fun of me. I was a loner and spent most of my time playing video games. But everything changed during my junior year when my mom's job moved us out west. I started attending a small Catholic high school with about 250 students. Finally, I began to fit in and make friends. No one here knew my past, so I decided to try and blend in. Maybe I could even get a girlfriend if I played my cards right. On my first day, I made a friend named Alex. He introduced me to his group at lunch. Mark, a big guy with a friendly personality, Jake, our computer nerd, and Tim, a guitarist. I also met Sara, a spunky girl who was into gaming. Some guys said she could be a bit mean, but she seemed cool to me. She even started calling me at home sometimes. Alex told me all kinds of stories about Sara, like how she used to prank guys with food laced with laxatives. I laughed and politely declined whenever she offered me snacks. Then there was Derek. His real name was Adam, but everyone called him Derek because he was a hardcore Nazi. He was an outcast and a loner. He wore a Nazi armband under his jacket and even dressed up in an SS uniform for Halloween. He was mean and often yelled racist slurs when confronted. One thing that stood out about Derek was his limp. Alex said someone once saw him tightening a barbicillus, a device worn by some devout Catholics for self-punishment. After Alex introduced me to everyone, he told me about a girl named Kayla who had mysteriously disappeared after playing a cell phone game. The police declared her missing under mysterious circumstances, and no one knew exactly what happened, just that it involved the game. Junior year passed quickly, and soon it was time for our senior year. The year started quietly, but rumors spread about 2 more disappearances linked to the cell phone game over the summer. The police were investigating a possible serial killer. All the victims had received a text message that read, "Welcome to the game." For me, things were going well. I had a good circle of friends and was more confident. Sara and I grew closer, and one day, she asked me out. I was thrilled and agreed. We started dating, and she joined my lunch group. One day at lunch, Sara mentioned that she had learned all about the cell phone game during a sleepover. She explained that you could join the game by sending a text at midnight that said, "I wish for the power to curse." If done correctly, you'd receive a message saying, "Welcome to the game." She also mentioned that players had to find a protective item or bring someone else into the game to avoid being dragged away. I told her it was nonsense, but she seemed intrigued. A few days later, she showed me her phone with the message, "Welcome to the game." She had joined the game and cursed another girl, Rebecca, to buy herself more time. I was furious and scared. 2 weeks later, Rebecca went missing. The assistant principal announced it at lunch, and Sara turned pale. She ran out of the cafeteria, and I chased after her. She confessed that she needed more time and planned to curse someone else. I tried to convince her to stop, but she was desperate. She showed me her phone, where she had sent the message to Derek. I was horrified but agreed to help her find a protective item. Days passed, and we couldn't find anything. The 2-week deadline approached, and Sara grew more anxious. One night, she asked me to stay with her, hoping I could protect her. I agreed and stayed over, but she disappeared during the night. The next day, I found her in the kitchen, safe and sound. We thought it was over, but then 9 of our classmates, including Alex, went missing. Sara had cursed them to buy more time. I confronted her, and she promised to stop. That night, she stayed with me again but disappeared while I slept. I found a note saying she wasn't ready to die and had taken my gun to go after Derek's protective item. I rushed to Derek's apartment and found her holding him at gunpoint. She took his Silas, and we left. As we walked away, I felt sick and disgusted. I prayed for Derek, hoping he could find a new protective item. I drove Sara home, but later that night, she called me in a panic. Something had come for her. I rushed back to her house, but it was too late. She was gone, dragged away. The police investigated, but there was no evidence linking me to the disappearances. Life gradually returned to normal, and I graduated high school. To this day, Derek is still around, always wearing that Nazi armband. Despite everything, I can't forget what happened and the lessons it taught me about messing with things beyond our understanding.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to listen to similar stories in future.